Hey, thank you so much for stopping by our Squad YouTube channel. I'm Josh. I'm our youth pastor here at Squad. Squad is our youth group at Crosspoint Church, and I wanted to first of all invite you to Squad Wednesday nights at 6:30 here at Crosspoint Church. But again, thank you so much for stopping by. We hope that you enjoy this week's message from Squad at Crosspoint Church.
So that's our series that we're in, and tonight is all about this thought. I thought God would do it for me. So here's a question for you guys to kind of think about throughout the remainder of this talk. And it's this right here. How many of you have ever done something and you messed up while you were doing it? Anyone you messed up? I should probably put a whole bunch of, every time I try to do any kind of project or carpentry work, I messed up. Now, how many of you messed up because you skipped a step? Anyone? Like you just skipped right over it? You had more bolts and screws left over after that? That's right. Like you thought it said that, you could connect to Netflix and the Wi-Fi, and then they didn't text you the code. You had to get the password again, all this sort of stuff. You skipped a step. How many of you didn't necessarily skip a step, but you thought someone else did the step already? Yeah, like, hey, you were helping me on that. I thought that you had my back, that kind of thing, right? And so in the game that we just saw played on here, in which Colin and Pierce, champs right there, but they had to work together, right, to make that happen, to pull off the victory. And so I'm wondering if sometimes in life we have some mistakes, some mishaps, some accidents because we thought someone was going to do it for us. And then we're sitting back waiting for them to do it. You get told all the time, I wish you would show initiative, right? But you're waiting for someone else to do that one step, and then you know that you need to go and take the trash out, or you need to go and feed the dog, whatever the case may be, that you messed up on because you skipped a step. So in this story that we're about to look at, Jesus is actually sitting with his disciples, and he's about to be crucified. And so this is kind of like his last hurrah, his last speech. They're in the locker room. They're about to take the field kind of thing. And he's trying to leave some imparting words of wisdom or just straight wisdom with his disciples. And so where we're going to pick up at is Jesus is sitting around. They're having dinner. They just get done eating. And in parts of the gospel, you have where they have an argument break out, where one of the disciples is like, I want to be the best disciple. And I was like, no, I'm the best disciple. And the other one's like, no, I'm Kobe. And they're like, who? And I was like, I'm LeBron, right? And so they're having this debate break out. And Jesus is looking around like, guys, I'm about to be beat up and crucified tomorrow. And y'all are talking about who's the greatest. Let me show y'all something, right? So I imagine if it were a TV show, this is when the lights would have went dim. He would have slid back and a piano would have come out and he would have and just dropped some bars. In my mind, that's how I read the Bible. You got to get on my version of translation. But here's actually what happened. This argument's breaking out, and Jesus is like, I still need to teach these guys some stuff. And so he's sitting at the table, and he gets up while they're having this conversation, and he takes his outer cloth, and he wraps it around his waist. That way he has what looks to appear like an apron. And he goes and gets a container of water. And the disciples at this point know what he's about to do because it was a heritage thing. It was a common thing. So anytime back in this time, if I visited your house when I arrived, you would probably say, hey, would you like someone to wash your feet? Today, it'd be like, you trying to cop my J's or what? I know you ain't touching my feet. I ain't taking my shoes off. I know what you're trying to do. You're sketchy around here, right? But back then, this was a custom thing. Like today, you might ask a friend, hey, I know we're about to hop on some 2K real quick, but would you like me to put your jacket up? Right? You would do something like that. Hey, would you like something to drink? You would offer them something as a little gratitude. That's what this was. So if you came over, they would ask, would you like your feet to be washed? But here's the thing. This culture, it wouldn't be the host that did it because he was above that. He was the guy. He owned the house. He was too important to wash your feet. What he would do is he would get his servant to come and wash your feet. So it would be like, oh, would you like your feet washed? And you think, oh, that's such a nice gesture. And then his servant bow down, boom, right there. Sit back, relax, kick him back. And let me remind you that they didn't have closed-toed shoes. You understand? So it was just all types of just, it wasn't good. So that's what this was that Jesus was about to do for his disciples. So he takes his cloth, wraps it around his waist, gets some water, and he's coming up to the table where they're reclining at. And everyone's looking around. They're probably stopping their argument at this point, thinking, what is he about to do? This is the Messiah. This is the guy. And so then Jesus says this. If you brought a Bible, it's John 13. but the scripture will be on the screen for you. So here it is. John 13, verse 8 begins with this. He just said, hey, I'm going to wash your feet. And Peter says, no, swerve. You shall never wash my feet. How many times have you told Jesus no? Just real quick, just like straight up with that. No, Jesus, not today. Yeah, me neither. I would not want to do that. But he says, no, you shall never wash my feet. So Jesus explains. He says, unless I wash you, you have no part with me. And this is kind of like a symbol that where if I don't cleanse you, if like I don't cleanse your spirit, if I don't cleanse your heart, Peter, then you can't be connected to me. We can't be in a relationship because you have too much sin in your life. But literally, he's talking about like, and if I don't wash your feet, this is a symbol of what I'm wanting to show you. You don't know it now. I'll tell you in a few minutes, and we'll get down to it in verse 15. But he says, I have to do this. And then Peter does what we would all do. So we get bougie. Let's be real. How many people have had a manicure or a pedicure real quick? All the fellas are just like, I had. Just a shoulder shrug. One time, my sister made me do it, But does it feel good? Those who've had it, is it nice? Is it good treatment? Do you feel like you're in like first class all of a sudden? Yeah. So now, Peter, after being like telling Jesus no, and Jesus saying, no, I have to, look what Peter says. Verse 9, bougie self Peter. Then, Lord, not just my feet, but wash my hands, wash my head. He probably wanted to say, brush my teeth, get my back. I got some Axe body spray, right? And so all this stuff, he's wanting to go ahead and just say, do the whole thing. Because I need all of it, Jesus. Just go ahead. So he's wanting to recline and let Jesus just wash him like a car. With Peter's response, I love Jesus' response. Because your parents have said something like this as well. Check this out. Jesus responds to Peter's like direction to like do everything. He says in verse 10, those who have had a bath, Peter, need only to wash their feet. Their whole body is already clean, you jerk, right? I feel like that's what he wanted to say. Like, don't try to get bougie with me. You've already had a bath. You're clean. This is just a symbol thing because you walked here. You didn't do handstand walks here, right? You didn't crawl here. It's your feet I'm trying to clean. The part that's dirty, Peter, bougie Peter, right? He's trying to turn it into a whole salon. And Jesus says, no, and you are clean. So he's like, I'm not going to do all that. Swerve, miss me with that. But again, this is a symbol. And he got pushback because of who he was, his position as the Messiah. Do you ever think that sometimes there's someone that's just too good to do a task? Like if you saw them doing something, like, no, don't do it. Like if I saw my mom like picking up something heavy, wouldn't you want to run over there? No, Mama, I got it. Has that ever happened to anyone? No. Oh, okay, yes. Yeah, okay. I was like, oh gosh, we might start back over. Like when you see someone that's just above that, they shouldn't be doing that small task or that difficult task alone, and you want to help. And in this case, Jesus is saying, I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't be the one doing this, but I'm trying to show you what you should be doing for each other. So check this out. Verse 14. Now that this is after he got done washing everybody's feet, now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. And here's the whole point of why he did it. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. So Jesus in another verse says, I didn't come to like just be served by the world. I came to serve the world. So Jesus, the guy that we worship, like after 2,000 years, my name will be long forgotten. But 2,000 years after his death and resurrection, we still talk about Jesus, this awesome God, this guy that did so much for us, and like he did cool miracles. And some people may say, oh, that was a magic trick or whatever the case may be. But he's the one that knelt down and washed feet of people he was friends with. And he did it because he came with a servant's heart. He loved enough to serve. And he said, I did this so that you guys would have an example. You're fighting over who should be in charge. You're fighting over who's best. You want to know who's best? You want to know who the greatest of you is? The one who serves the other. That's who's best. And so with that, I wanted to implore you as Squad, because what Squad stands for is students who are, what does it stand for? I'm just kidding. Students who are qualified. I'm going to throw some other letters in there. I was about to give you all types of adjectives. But it stands for students who are qualified, unified, active, and driven. But what are we active with if we just come here on Wednesday nights? Is there somewhere that we could serve? Is there somewhere that we care enough to say, hey, I want to help with that? So I just want you to go through your day today. Just think back to like when you woke up at 2 p.m. Maybe it was 5:15 right before you got here. But when you woke up, think through the day until this point. Did you overlook an area where you could have helped or served someone? Because I'm sure I have. There's an area where I could have done better. Like there's someone that was in need and I could have taken the time to help them out. But could I have helped someone make their day, which was difficult in that moment, make it a little bit better? And now I want you to think of like Jesus in that same situation. It wasn't that they needed to have their feet washed to make their day better. He just wanted to provide a service to make their day better. So have you ever been gifted a service? Has anyone ever done something for you? And consider like, how did that make you feel? And then think about the times that you've done something for someone else and how that made you feel. And so this whole talk is first off to set up this idea. In that moment, Jesus washed their feet. Yes, he did it. He did it for them. But he did it as an example so that after him, they would know still what to do. So for us on this side of the cross, it's not that Jesus is going to swoop in and like perform magic tricks when you pray for something and do it for you. Instead, he already set the example. He already gave advice in Scripture, and he wants you to live that out. So I don't want your prayers, we talked about this a few weeks ago, I don't want your prayers to be empty prayers where you say, Jesus, give me the right answers, I'll wait. Right? And you're about to take a test, and you just sit there and wait for him to download it into your mind. That's not going to happen. But when you can pray like, Lord, give me freedom from distraction, help me to focus on doing this test like for you, help me to study and prepare as I'm doing it for you, then it's going to give you the determination to be successful. But just simply when you pray for something, it's not that you can just say, Jesus, in your name, amen, and then sit back and wait for it to happen. And I did that. I prayed the Solomon prayer. I wanted wisdom like Solomon. So I prayed for it. I said, Lord, make me wise like Solomon. I'll wait. And I thought he would just give me the wisdom. Instead, what he gave me was this desire to go back to school and get a master's degree. And in that, I'm gaining wisdom. And what he gave me was opportunity to help serve at Squad. And in that, I'm gaining wisdom. So don't just simply pray, and James talks about this, don't pray a prayer and not put it in action. When you have faith in God, you have faith that it's going to take place. So when I pray for it, I'm going to go ahead and start acting on it so that it will take place, and then slowly I'll gain what it is I prayed for. But don't pray a prayer and then just kick back and wait for God to do it, because he already served you. He cleaned more than your feet. He cleaned your soul, your heart, when he died for you. He's done enough. But he still wants to help out. And that's through a relationship with him. So here's my second point. So don't pray the empty prayers and then wait for God to do it, because he's probably going to use you to do it. So when you pray for someone, like say, someone that upsets you at school, Lord, be with them. They need you. You know how you want to do. Like, oh my gosh, they need you so much. Maybe he put you in that class so that you could be the person that shows them who Jesus is. And they can see Jesus through you. But not if you're putting a hand up. So don't show people what to do or what not to do and how not to respond by getting an attitude with them. Let them see Jesus in you, and that's service. And so I'm going to close with this. Serving is the keyboard on? Is Isaiah, could you do that thing? You're still here. Could you do it? Could you serve? I'll let you wash my feet after this, Jesus. Yeah. I'm just kidding. I think Jesus had Isaiah's hair too, by the way. Right. Right. Thank you, Isaiah. Yeah, absolutely. And maybe the keyboard's on. I don't know. We'll see. In faith, we'll pray and hope in faith. But here's what service is. Service is difficult, right? That's why it doesn't happen so often. Oftentimes, like right now, to be served, you have to pay someone. You know, like you have to go to a restaurant and like you have to go ahead and pay before they'll bring you the food. But the service that Jesus did was humility. He had to humble himself first, knowing that I'm not going to get anything out of this. This isn't for me, to benefit me. This is just to give you something. And so before you serve, you have to humble yourself and say, I'm willing for you to be set above me. And Jesus said that makes you greater. And he goes on to say, you'll be blessed when you do this. So when you serve someone else, you're humbling yourself to say, you're more important than me. If you want a good relationship, this is too advanced for some of you guys. If you're in 6th grade, tune me out for a few minutes longer. But if you want a good relationship, serve the person you're in a relationship with. Like, do generous gestures, like get them some their favorite candy. It's cheap. Go get them a $1 candy bar, just because. I'll have to do that for you, babe. I'm sorry. It's like, oh, he must be good. No, I ain't done this. It's just, But you can help serve someone by just doing small gestures for them. It's just saying, hey, you're more important than me. I want to humble myself for you. And that's what Jesus did. And so in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, June 14th and June 16th, you're going to have that opportunity to serve someone. On Friday night, the 14th, we're going to go across the street and we're going to serve the nursing home. You mean I got to wipe something? No. We're going to wash their feet? No. What we're going to do is we're going to have a conversation with someone that maybe they haven't had anyone visit them in a very long time. They can remember what it was like to be your age, but they haven't had a conversation with someone in your age in a very long time. And so we're going to get over there a little bit early. They're going to finish with dinner, and we're just going to sit there, and for a few minutes, like 10 minutes, we're just going to talk to them, introduce yourself to someone, and have a conversation with them. And after that, we're going to give a devotion about our series that we're going to be in called Suit Up. And so we're going to have that second message in that series. And then we're going to sing a couple worship songs with them. We're going to pray with them. And my prayer is that for some of you or one of you, it's going to touch your heart so much that you say, I want to come back. And you're going to ask the coordinator there, like, hey, are there visitation hours? I'd love to see just Susie Beth once a month for forever, right? I was trying to think of an older name. Ruth. I want to see Ruth, Woodrow is my guy. I want to go see Woodrow. If we get over there and these are their names, just, I did not know this. I'm just trying to think of some names. But having a conversation, it was so meaningless to us until you sit down and you do it for someone that makes their day. And I'm hoping that service that you provide in that moment is going to just take effect, and you're going to start doing it not just there. You're going to come back a week later, 2 weeks later. You're going to make it a regular routine. You're going to go to school when school starts back. And you're going to start having conversations with other people. Because I had this student say one time, that's the meanest teacher ever. I hate that teacher. No one likes that teacher. She has no friends. And I thought, man, it must be tough to be that teacher. What if you befriended her? You could probably change her whole day. You could probably change your day because you wouldn't be getting in trouble maybe as much if you were getting in trouble with that person. It's just a small conversation. And then on that Saturday, we're going to go have some fun. You don't have to serve anyone out there, but maybe it lingers. You're like, hey, I'm going to go into the concession stand. Who wants something? Maybe you do that. But that Sunday, we're going to have the opportunity to serve our church. You're going to have chaperones there with you, but they're going to let you do that ministry. If it's in Kids Point, if it's in the nursery, if it's a section greeter here, we're going to let you serve. And that way you can welcome each person as they come into the door, because we don't know what kind of week they're coming out of, but we can control the environment they're coming into. And you're not washing their feet, but man, you're washing their memories, and you're making them clean again, because it's been a tough week, and now all of a sudden they have a bright spot. But I would implore you to get a servant's heart, to serve like Jesus, to humble yourself, and not just do it one time, but make it a habitual thing, because he gave us that example. So that being said, could we pray together?